Hi everyone, this is Kyle, and we got some more news or some rumor or some leak regarding the Snow White movie. Now there's a couple of articles that I've seen since Disney announced that they're going to be delaying the Snow White movie by a full year. I've got this one right here from the Daily Mail UK, saying essentially that Disney, the reason why they delayed the Snow White movie is that they're afraid that it's going to be an absolute disaster at the box office. There's another article out here from MovieWeb.com saying the movie designer for the live-action Snow White movie is denying that Snow White has made changes to the Seven Dwarfs. I'm going to do this article though in another video, but in this video I'm going to go over this article here from Daily Mail. So the article is titled, "Exclusive, Disney delayed Snow White over fears it will be a financial disaster and flop like Cats." I remember that Cats movie. I didn't watch it in theaters, it didn't look interesting, but I hear a lot of people saying it was terrible. As controversy continues after Rachel Zegler's woke tirade and weird original plot with stalker Prince. And then some of the main points of the article. Apparently this movie has a $330 million budget as of right now, which, if that's true, I can't say certain words on here. And according to this article, some insiders at Disney are saying that Disney's trying to make some changes to the movie, try to get it right, because with so much money being put into it, it has to be a success for them. I don't think it's going to be a success at this point, but I'll start reading this. So, Disney is said to be delaying its upcoming Snow White remake in a bid to avert a financial disaster, with producers reportedly fearing it will bomb at the box office and cripple any chance of future spin-offs. So that's the first interesting thing right here. I guess they might have been hoping to make sequels or something like that to this live-action Snow White movie. Guess they wanted to take Snow White and milk it for as much money as they possibly can instead of coming up with any new kinds of movies these days. I mean, nobody comes up with any new ideas anymore. I mean, you can certainly argue that Disney in this live-action Snow White remake, they need to stay true to the fairy tale, and yes, I would agree. But I do think you could also argue they shouldn't even be making a remake of Snow White, period. The one from the 1930s, it's a classic. I mean, why bother remaking it? I mean, you could also say, people love the original Little Mermaid animated movie Disney made some 30 whatever years ago. Why bother remaking that? People loved the Beauty and the Beast movie Disney made. Why remake that? And so on. But if this is true, that I guess they were going to be making spin-offs of this Snow White live-action movie that they were going to be making. I mean, that tells me that Disney is creatively bankrupt. They don't have any ideas for anything anymore. They don't have any new ideas for movies or shows or anything like that. Or you could say it's a sign that they don't want to take any risks anymore. They just want to go with known names or known brands, Snow White in this case, because they think that it might give them the best chance of making some money, or they think it might be the lowest risk, just remaking old titles that people know. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be seeing really any new ideas coming out of Disney anytime soon. But anyway, last week the studio announced it had pushed back the film's release until March 2025, a whole year after the scheduled date, citing the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike as the driving force behind the decision. And yeah, I mean, the strike, it can certainly have something to do with it. But if they delayed it by a full year, I'm kind of thinking they're a little bit in panic mode too. Because people are not happy with the direction that this movie's apparently going. But an insider has exclusively told DailyMail.com that Disney is said to be figuring out what to do after making a $330 million turkey, and is looking to Tom Hooper's widely panned Cats as a guide on what to avoid. I mean, folks, this right here, $330 million, that's probably the biggest thing I take from this article. I mean, they say generally speaking that a movie, it has to make a good 2.5 times whatever its production budget is in order to break even, or in order to turn a profit. If this is true, that they're spending $330 million on their production budget for this movie, a movie that I kind of think is going to flop at this point, and I think everyone else out there thinks is going to flop. $330 million. If you have to make double that in theaters in order to break even, that's $660 million right there. Or if you go by a 2.5 times rule, where you got to make 2.5 times the production budget in order to make a profit, you're talking $825 million that this movie's got to make in theaters. Now, do any of you out there, do any of you honestly think that it's going to make $825 million in theaters at this point? I sure don't. Does anyone think it's even going to make like $600 million in theaters? I don't. Yeah, I mean, this movie's going to lose Disney money. It's probably going to lose them a lot of money. The decision comes after Rachel Zegler, 22, who plays a titular princess, launched a woke tirade at the original weird plot with a stalker prince despite having only watched the 1937 animation once as a child. So according to The Insider, Disney had to delay Snow White because they have spent so much money on it, and if it is a financial disaster at the box office, it might single-handedly cripple future remakes and potential Snow White sequels that they have planned, The Insider claimed. Again, if this is true, that they're planning sequels and stuff, that tells me Disney is creatively bankrupt. It tells me that they're scraping the bottom of the barrel for ideas. Yeah, I don't think Disney's going to be creating anything new anytime soon. They also have to remove themselves from the bad taste in the mouths of online critics and want to instead deliver a great film and get to the point where they get it right. They realize that they were overthinking things and are now reining it all in a little bit more. The upcoming production of the latest in a long line of Disney remakes has been mired in controversy. Bosses first came under fire for casting Colombian-American Zegler as a lead, despite the story being about a traditionally fair German princess with skin white as snow. They then announced that magical creatures would replace the Seven Dwarfs to avoid reinforcing stereotypes after Game of Thrones actor Peter Dinklage criticized the effing backwards story. Earlier this year, a mix of men and women of different ethnicities with a real dwarf among their number were pictured filming, but they appear to have now been replaced by 7 CGI dwarves. And again, they're referring to this picture right here that surfaced back in July. And then suddenly we get this picture from Disney after they announced that they're delaying the movie by a full year. And again, there is a report out there denying that Disney changed the dwarfs. But again, this is a different article. It's got an interesting thing or two in it. A couple of questions I have. So I'm going to do this in another video. And so this Daily Mail article goes on. According to The Insider, producers and crew members are said to be trying to learn from the mistakes made by films such as Sonic the Hedgehog, which was forced to push back its release after viewers slated Sonic's appearance following the first trailer reveal. Yeah, I do remember that. I mean, the overall reception for Sonic the Hedgehog, I would say, was positive when the movie came out. Yes, people did criticize how Sonic looked originally, but Paramount, they listened to audiences, they made changes, they delayed the movie, and I think one thing you take from that, if you're a creator, yes, audiences are going to be harsh on you when you screw up, but if you listen to your critics, if you listen to your audience, they will appreciate you for doing that. And Sonic the Hedgehog, I mean, if you look at its overall box office numbers, I mean, a few things here. The overall final number was just under $320 million, which the overall budget was $85 million, so you probably would say it did make a profit. And then the other factor here, it came out middle of February of 2020, right before a certain world event happened. So, I mean, you could say that may have played a part in the box office performance. But I know people thought it was generally a nice family-friendly film. Okay, back to Daily Mail. They are also said to be looking at Cats, starring Taylor Swift, Judi Dench, and James Corden, which flopped at the box office on its release in 2020 and is generally considered one of the worst movies of all time. Now, according to this came out in December of 2019, but yeah, $75 million on a $95 million budget. Yeah, that's a flop. They just need some time to figure it all out. Plus, we are still dealing with the strikes, a source said. And here's a picture of one of the cats from the movie Cats, which, this freaks me out right here. It is also a perfect storm right now, but they are embracing change and anticipate it all to work out and exceed expectations. The work starts now. I don't know. They're going to have to change a lot, I think, if they want the Snow White movie to actually do well at the box office. I don't think there really is a chance for it to do well at this point. I mean, if they want to make the movie do well in theaters, I think they might just have to flat out come out and give some apologies and say, we're going to be respecting the original Snow White movie. We're going to stay true to it. Things of that sort. I mean, that might get some fans that are angry back. I don't know how many realistically. I do think there's plenty of people that have lost any trust in Disney, and rightly so. But if you ask me, if they want the movie to do well in theaters, doing something like that might be their best chance. And they might have to flat out just redo the entire script. Reports are that the movie's going to have Snow White be basically a strong woman-girl boss, and stuff like that, which you're seeing in basically every movie now almost. Yeah, they're going to have to make a lot of changes from what we're hearing of the direction of the movie. They added they also had to delay the movie because they not only have to make it as best as they can, but there are a lot of toys that they have to prepare, so they need the dwarves and the rest of the characters to look exactly like who they are supposed to be. Yeah, and the report from Daily Mail right here says producers are said to have U-turned on their decision to include a diverse range of actors to play the dwarves after receiving backlash from Dinklage, who has achondroplasia, a form of dwarfism. Now again, there is an article from MovieWeb.com saying that there's going to be 7 dwarfs and 7 bandits in the movie. I'm going to go into that in a different video. And then the article just goes into some of the things Peter Dinklage says, and then some of the things that Rachel Zegler said that pissed a lot of Snow White fans off. But I tell you, if this is true, $330 million that they're putting into this movie, boy, it's going to need to make a lot in theaters in order to break even and in order to make a profit. And with all the controversy around the movie, I don't think it's going to be making that much money in theaters. So this report that Disney fears that it's going to be a financial disaster, yeah, I absolutely believe it. I mean, it's going to have to make a lot of money to break even. And if it ends up flopping, which right now I'm going to say it does flop, then that means that Disney's probably not going to be able to make any Snow White sequels or spin-offs or whatever. And I think it's just going to further show people that Disney doesn't have any new ideas anymore. I don't know, let me know what you guys think here. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you consider hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Take care until then.